Hello everyone, and welcome to the series of Uriel Morningstar versus the world. This is video 6. So let's continue. How can a high voltage logistician like me discover his community on this planet? I consider myself a watcher and a keen observer of Earth. My purpose is to watch, assess, heal, and safeguard human souls to the best of my capabilities. Of course, I'm human, I can only do so much, but to the best of my capabilities. I achieve this through meditation, dreams, visions, guidance from ancestors, and the influence of gods and goddesses. Then there is the moment of that spiritual intervention, where I approach someone to share the insights that I may have, but they don't want to hear it. But they truly need to understand. I am a warrior of the dawn. I've journeyed far from the flames of my beginnings, from a profound depths beyond Orion's belt. Now you're probably wondering, what is he talking about? I've carried that fierce Aries fires and spark into a dense heavy world, for I have been informed by the ancestors that I am indeed a starseed. A starseed is an ancient, high vibrational soul from a far-off dimension. My soul does not originate from Earth. I've been reincarnated numerous times as a seeder of light to help guide the planet Gaia toward her next evolution. This time, I'm on a dual path, not only to evolve my own soul, but also to serve as a frequency shifter for humanity. And everyone's going, he's crazy. Bear with me, please stay. I came into this world with a wake-up code. For the moment I was born up until 2011, I was merely going through the motions, sleepwalking through life, just another sheeple like everyone else. However, in 2011, I received a message from Spirit and my ancestors urging me to legally change my name from James Alexander Johnston, which I was born with, to the name I have today, which is Uriel Morningstar. This marked the start of my awakening to my true self that you see before you today. This process unfolded slowly and gently, as it was indeed a lot to embrace. The name Uriel signifies having the divine presence of gods and goddesses as your guiding light. They rejuvenate you when your spirit feels low, through practices like meditation and prayer. The name Malachi signifies being a messenger. It involves speaking not just in your own voice, but occasionally in the voices of spirits, ancestors, or even deities. I am a psychic medium, not a person who tells the future. A medium is someone that spirits go through, and they temporarily possess you and sometimes speak through you. I don't decide who speaks or when. That is determined by the spirits. And skeptics are saying, okay, show me something. But what they don't understand is that it doesn't work that way. I, myself, do nothing. It is them, the spirits, who decide. The higher beings won't do something just for your entertainment. They speak out only when needed, and they know the message will be received by someone who is ready and truly there to listen. And then there's the last name, Morningstar, which represents a powerful authority that cannot be ignored, bringing light and hope to a world that is still struggling. This strength does not come from me, but rather from a spirit that perseveres through the despair and darkness of our planet. If you allow it, the world can consume you. However, if one seeks to discover their true self, it is only in their own darkness, looking within themselves, that they can begin to perceive the light. They must simply calm their mind and patiently wait to hear the divine. Initially, they may be slow to respond to you, but with persistence, that connection will eventually be established. I ultimately discovered that I am a light bringer. The archangel Uriel embodies the flame of the gods, brimming the wisdom, the enlightenment, the ceremonial magic. He is renowned for his guidance in making decisions. If you read the book of Enoch, he serves as the guardian of secrets. Additionally, he is celebrated for inspiring artistic endeavors. He has aided me in becoming a musician, despite lacking formal music training of any kind, and I can't even read sheet music. I perceive the melodies in my mind as if they're already recorded, and as if I'm listening through a pair of headphones. But in reality, it's just in my mind. And then I create these musical masterpieces of 171 instruments, symphonic metal music, that inspires people that are lost and people who are on addiction or people who've been through abuse to not give up and keep fighting for their lives. And this message is coming from the gods and goddesses, not me. And I keep getting these songs and I manifest them into reality. Authentic songs that others can hear. He has imparted me the mysteries of the spirit and the occult realms. He has unveiled to me the many deceptions of earth. He provides assistance when I face particularly challenging decisions and problems and when you're in a tight spot and not sure what to do. I embody the energy of ascended realms, which makes me a natural healer and highly attuned to the heavy negativity of the earth. As an old soul, I possess wisdom that surpasses many years, and I do not adhere to conventional societal norms or even their laws. I abide by a singular, straightforward principle: do not harm. This means no harm to myself and no harms to others. While many people are gentle, I possess the courage to propel humanity into a new era of existence. In my youth, I too was very foolish. I made numerous mistakes in my life that I genuinely regret, and sometimes I wish I could go back and change it all, but you cannot. However, after my awakening in 2011, the lost and broken version of myself was transformed into my spiritual self, and that upon joining the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids on July 7th of 2023, I unearthed even more profound aspects within myself by connecting with gods I didn't even know were there. Now I am truly evolving into the individual that I was meant to be, a shamanic druid healer. From a very young age, I experienced visions and occasionally sketched various occultic symbols, including those from Egyptian books of the dead, the greater and lesser seals of Solomon, the Kabbalah, and even lesser spirit banishing rituals. Sometimes I even get dreams of very complex mathematical equations, and I wish I could just plug something into my head and record it and show it to scientists, because this is not from me. It is something big, and it's like, what is this? No one instructed me in these matters. I simply envision these things, I dream of these things, and somehow possess an innate understanding. I was what some refer to as a natural witch. In my past existence, and please bear with me for those that are skeptic, there's a lot of information here. In my past existence, I resided in Ireland. The essence of a soul is not defined by gender, only the physical body possesses that characteristic. So in that life, my past life, I was a woman known as Frasia McCormick. I lived close to the Ulster Island woodlands on a modest farm in Ireland. It was a time long ago when families inhabited small wooden cottages and relied on water wheels to produce energy and run their machinery. I was a woman with light skin, long reddish hair, and I was married to a man named Eoin McCormick. It's spelled E-O-I-N, who worked daily at a water-powered sawmill. At that time, the region was filled with forests where my husband harvested timber to construct houses. Our names were somewhat unusual compared to those of the locals, and if you were to look at historical records, but that was due to our immigration status from Norway in the early 1700s. I was training to become a naturopathic doctor, a pursuit that was deemed unacceptable by the standards of men at that time. Women back then were considered less and not smart enough. And being a woman, life was really tough back then. I was out one sunny day gathering herbs and medical flowers when a group of men crept up behind me and I didn't even notice they were there. And then they slit my throat, leading to my immediate death. I never even caught a glimpse of their faces. I have no idea who they were. And I was only 34 years old, very young, when I passed away. I was murdered because during that era, if a woman was discovered using mixtures from wild plants, she was labeled a witch. In Gaelic culture, women who foraged for herbs in the forest referred to as, and I have to spell this out because I don't know how to say this, they're referred to as, the first word is M-N and A with a line over it, and the last word is F-E-A-S-A. So I'm going to guess, Nya Fiasa. I could be wrong, but that's what they were referred to. They served as the main healers for rural communities. However, as the 1700s advanced, the laws of enlightenment and the shifts into Christian religious beliefs began to redefine these traditions healers as practitioners of what? Witchcraft and sorcery. Thus, as a result, I was brutally killed and slain. In many past lives, I served as high-ranking advisors to various kings across the globe, primarily as active on the continent, opposite the UK and regions like Norway, Rome, Nepal, and even Egypt. I recall engaging in epic battles and assisting kings with critical life and death choices. And there's one very vivid memory, and it was of my demise. I was struck down by an entire sky filled with arrows that darkened the day as if it was midnight, even though, despite it being high noon. The bloodshed was so immense that one could wade through both blood and mud, with tens and tens of thousands of warriors perishing in mortal combat between one king and another fighting over land. In Egypt, there was a king who treated his subjects with such kindness that I chose to be buried alive alongside him to aid in his journey to the underworld. I eventually succumbed when the air was depleted, of course, drifting into a peaceful slumber, but I remained vigilant over his burial site. This was more than 5,000 years ago. I also recall periods in my life when I was regarded as a wizard, though in truth, I was merely nothing more than just a highly knowledgeable scientist. At that time, when explosives were newly discovered, people perceived them as sorcery. I immersed myself in the study of animals, plants, and the stars, and all aspects of life, finding each element utterly captivating. I've experienced numerous visions of my past lives, and even now, when I gaze into a bathroom mirror, I can see the faces of soldiers and individuals from as far back as the Bronze Age reflected in my own visual image of myself. I stare in the eyes, let things go blurry, and focus again, and I'll see all these faces just cycle one after another, after another, after another, after another. And it's like, who are these people? And they, I learned, are from past lives. So 5,000 years ago, and even further still. Indeed, I've roamed this earth for a considerable time as a light bringer and a starseed, gaining knowledge about the planet and its inhabitants. But unfortunately, history tends to repeat itself, and humanity often fails to learn from its errors. I can't provide proof to you of any of this, but I have indeed traveled through time and navigated between the realms of other worlds, whether it was in dreams, meditations, out-of-body experiences. On 2 occasions, I was even witnessed by at least one other person or more during these real-life journeys. I have traversed temporarily spiritual portals where spirits wanted me to see a house or a location that had a previous owner. It was akin to watching a movie, yet you're fully awake and you're moving around and even able to interact with objects from that different time period before returning to the present world. And the spirits have the ability to manipulate reality and time itself. One of these instances, which was observed by another person, occurred in the Mill Creek Ravine area of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, late at night. I was coming home from White Avenue on 82nd Ave, and a spiritual portal opened, and my friend and I were looking at it, and for some stupid reason, I'll use the word stupid here, we decided to step through it. So to our surprise, we found ourselves 6 months into the future. Moreover, the world I inhabit now is not the original world that I came from. So it's like, what the actual fill in the blank. So we're like, okay, we're 6 months in the future. And to our surprise, we found ourselves there. And the world that I inhabit now is not the original plane of existence from the multiverse that I once knew. Where am I? And the previous world was a more tranquil version of Earth, while this current one feels much more violent. So obviously I sent here with some kind of purpose. Another experience took place when I resided in a haunted government housing townhouse with my second wife years ago, and the spirits transported me to their time, revealing that the house was haunted due to a murder-suicide committed by the previous tenant, who killed his entire family before taking his own life. This incident occurred around 1995 in the Blue Quill neighborhood of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. On yet another occasion, I was walking along bike trails with me on one side of a stream and a friend on the opposite side, and after about an hour of walking, we both realized that one of our wind-up watches was an hour fast, while the other person's watch was an hour slow. What happened there? We both believe that the forested area in Edmonton River Valley harbors some kind of supernatural, unexplained phenomenon. Additionally, we think it is home to many ancient native spirits from long ago. I possess the unique ability to perceive things that most others cannot, including spiritual entities, the deceased sometimes, not very often, know that one, but it happens sometimes. Cryptids, gray aliens I've seen, and other entities that would prefer to deny exist, but they're there. Like a spirit referred to as a rake. I hope you never see one. I have. And yeah, terrifying. I've also come across wraiths that siphon your energy over several nights. This happened to me 3 nights in a row years ago after I pissed off some people in the occult doing spiritual warfare, and they retaliated by sending these wraiths after me. I hope that never happens again. My most harrowing experience was enduring a period of demonic possession after spending time on the streets of East Hastings in Vancouver, BC during the early 1990s, near Hastings and Princess Avenue. It is still recognized today as Skid Row. It's a place where there's thousands of people homeless, all just laying around in the streets, plastic bags, people overdosing and dying doing the funky chicken. It's a really sad place. There's even signs saying lock your doors as you drive through the neighborhood. So yeah, it's a terrifying place, and I used to hang out there years ago. I was a drug addict. I hate to admit that. I'm not anymore. I haven't been for many years. It was a very dark time of my life. But anyway, it is Skid Row. And during that time, a prostitute tragically died in my arms from an overdose of some drugs that were brought in that were tainted, and they were stronger than what they normally would be. So she overdosed right in my arms. And I didn't know this, but she had a demon that had possessed her, and it decided to enter me when she died. I carried that presence for several years. Even my mother, if you asked her, she's in Edmonton, she would tell you this is true. And anyway, this demon was in me, and it compelled me to do and commit many unspeakable acts, leaving me as a mere observer of my own actions with my own body, while I'm outside of the body, standing next to it. And it's even hard to talk about, but I'm going to continue. So I was possessed during that period. It compelled me to do and commit unspeakable acts, leaving me as a mere observer of my own actions. This experience also provided me with insights, though, into various types of people, their personalities, how humans typically respond to different situations, and eventually I became quite adept at predicting what someone would do before they acted, or what they might say in a conversation I'm having with them before they even speak. And of course, they were exceptions, but you'd be astonished at how many people are essentially replicas of one another. So this spirit eventually did leave me, and it entered a friend of mine who tried to get rid of it while I was sleeping. Should not have done that. So, in revenge, the spirit went and got 7 more spirits, and they possessed this woman, and now she has 7 different disabilities and 7 different personalities, and she's really mentally messed up because of it. And we're no longer friends. We haven't been for years. But myself, I was very happy to be rid of this thing. It was making me very violent to people. I would growl, I would bite even, and to just watch that, knowing that's you, and you can't stop it, it was horrible. When I was just a small child, roughly between the ages of 3 and 10, there were individuals in my family, I'm not going to mention who, but there was people in my family, and there were friends that they had that were lawyers, doctors, politicians, rich upper-class people with money. And this was in Windsor, Ontario, and Detroit, Michigan, where I grew up. And these people utilized me for dark occult rituals, ones that are the darkest of the dark. And they used me as a vessel for spirits to possess me and communicate through me. And although it is quite uncommon, there are still times today, even here in 2026, when spirits will speak through me, especially when I am assisting someone with a message they need to hear. So I might go out to a bar or somewhere. It's happened to me here in Cochrane even. There was a girl that was suicidal, and I went up to her, and I don't even know this girl. I'm serious, I do not know this girl. You could ask in town if anyone experienced me doing this and saw it. They would say this is what happened. I walk up to this girl, not even knowing her, and I said, "Put your hand on my hand." And I reached out like this. I said, "Please, just for 30 seconds. And she put her hand on mine. And after 30 seconds, she was kind of scared because she felt something. I could see it in her eyes, she felt something. And she jerked back. And I looked her right in the eyes, and I said, "Girlie, you got some serious problems. When you were 14, you tried to commit suicide." And she's like, "What the?" Fill in the blank. And her friends are all around her, looking at her and looking at me like, "How does he know this? I don't even know this guy. How do I know?" And she's freaking out. And she ran back in the bar. And she couldn't handle it. But her friend was there, and there's this native girl, and I said to her, "Are you her friend?" And she goes, "Yes." And I said, "You know how to smudge?" She goes, "Yes, I do." And I said, "You have to smudge this girl tonight. Get rid of this spirit on her back that is draining her depression and negative energy, and it's feeding off of her. Will you please do this?" And she said she would. And I said, "If you don't, she will commit suicide, she will die. This demon will kill her." So these are the kind of interventions that I've had happen with me. And they're pretty intense. If anyone has ever had a CT scan with contrast, they would understand what I'm going to say next here. The way my spirits work is if I ask them something and it's a no, nothing happens. If I ask them something and it's a yes, a definite yes, and I'm to approach someone and say something, I get a feeling from my feet to my head, back to my feet, like that rush you get when you have that CT contrast during a CT scan, and then you're almost going to wet yourself. It's kind of like that, but 10 times stronger. You cannot stop the spirits. They're like, nope, you're going. And I go, and I help people. And I used to fight this in my 20s and 30s, and I shut it off. But now I realize, no, this is who I am to be. I'm to be a healer. I'm to reach out to people. It's not me doing anything. I have nothing. I have no abilities or nothing. I have nothing. I don't even believe I'm fully psychic, if someone asks me. But there are spirits that use me, and they use me for good. They use me for what is the right thing in life, and correcting someone's path before they lead themselves to death or just something bad. So I've now accepted that, and I became a bard with the Order of Ovates and Druids, and I'm now into the Ovate year, and I'm quite enjoying it. You learn so much history, you learn so much about life. It's great. Okay, so I tell them the message they need to hear. I got a little sidetracked there, but it's okay. We're moving on. Spirit probably wanted me to say that to you. Try to explain it for those that don't understand. So as you can see, this is my public declaration of my spiritual identity. For 5 decades, I've only shared this with very few select people. Society struggles to accept these kind of truths, like the things I'm telling you right now. There's someone right there, I can guarantee you, there's someone watching this right now going, yeah, this guy's full of shit. Call it what you want. You won't believe it to experience it. So society struggles to accept these truths, and I've always had to remain in the shadows, and it's horrible. And once again, they will label me as crazy. You're a freak, someone to be pushed far, far away, someone who terrifies them. Oh, you're scaring me. I can't handle this truth. Well, maybe you should listen, because there's something to be learned. But I'm no longer hiding. This that you see now, this is who I am. And the people that know me, there's people on my Facebook that have known me since I'd say at least 2010 to now they've known me. They've seen the change. And they know that the person I used to be versus who I am now, they know. And there's only a few that have stuck with me, but they know me very well. Thank you for being there. I know you're watching this, so thank you. So this is who I am. And you can either accept it or you can't. Simply that. I'm no longer afraid to embrace my true self, and understand that these concepts may be difficult for many of you to accept. And I know there are skeptics among us. But however, I always say, once you've seen a ghost and it throws you across the room, you can no longer deny it. Yeah, that just happened. Oh shit, that shit's real. And you'll no longer be a skeptic. But until that happens, you won't believe it. All right. So, you have to experience something that's completely profound in your life so that you can no longer dismiss it. And that's precisely what it takes to believe, unfortunately. So that's why there's so many people that don't believe. It hasn't happened to them. So otherwise, naturally, you think it's a fabrication. So all I'm asking people here right now, right here today, as I'm going through these videos, telling you about myself, the real me, my life, just keep an open mind. That's all I'm asking. Keep an open mind. And reflect on the possibility of, what if this stuff this man is saying is true? No, I'm not saying I want you to believe or don't believe. Just give it that what if. What if what this man is saying is true? Okay. Then what would that mean to you if all of it was indeed truth? What would that mean to you? If you had proof or something happened in your life to prove that everything I just told you is true, how would you respond to that? Most of you would be fear, and that's a natural human response. But how would you respond if this were all reality? And then think of the fact that I've lived it, and for me, this is absolutely true, and it is. Let's shift our focus back to the series and its related topics. Honestly, most people on this planet drive me crazy. There's no way to express it. However, in my quest to forge friendships and connections while I'm alive on this earth, I must channel my advanced knowledge into a form that serves as a gravity well to attract what I need. A gravity well serves as a metaphor for crafting something irresistibly engaging, immensely valuable, or pivotal, like a powerful brand, a distinctive concept, or an exceptional content that naturally draws people towards me, much like celestial bodies are pulled towards a massive planet's gravitational force. Instead of me having to pursue them, it's about cultivating mass, reputation, expertise to create my own attraction, simplifying the process of connecting with like-minded individuals or potential collaborators. And here's how that analogy functions. There's mass and depth. A substantial object, like a planet, forms a profound well in space-time, attracting nearby entities, in the same way a verbose presence or offering generates a significant well of interest. Then there's spiraling in. Rather than descending straight down, which may lead to a quick but superficial connection, I establish pathways, content, community that spirit inward, facilitating deeper engagement and comprehension as individuals approach my core, offering, or value. And then there's attraction, not chasing. I position myself as the focal point, allowing others to gravitate toward me rather than me insistently reaching out to connect with them. And then in the realm of making peers, which is networking and community, I need to build my mass, cultivate profound expertise, generate unique value, or maintain a strong, genuine voice, which becomes my mass. I need to create the well, develop platforms, content, projects, communities that inherently attract individuals interested in that mass. Then I got to draw in my tribe, those who resonate with my perspective, my values, or require my expertise, are naturally drawn into my sphere, fostering robust, organic, pure relationships. And in essence, it's the antithesis of a weak pull. It's about establishing a magnetic core. Getting tongue twisted here. It's about establishing a magnetic core for my ideal connections. So, today was a mouthful, but we got through it. So, that's the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And I ask you to join me next time for another episode of Uriel Morningstar versus the World. And we're going to dig in even deeper. Thanks for watching.